regulated, but it has to be regulated through the lens of commercial speech. And the commercial speech doctrine basically, and it goes back to the Central Hudson case in 1980, it basically stands for the proposition that commercial speech in the form of advertising, it's valuable. Okay, we may laugh at advertising. I showed you some funny examples of some funny attorney ads earlier. But at the end of the day, advertising serves a very valuable function in our society. I mean, it provides consumers with information about goods and services. Now, sometimes those ads are tacky. Sometimes those ads are full of puffed information and stuff we think is silly. And sometimes they're, borderline misleading. But at the end of the day, all of that information goes into the mosaic of facts and ideas that consumers have when they're making choices in our marketplace. And all in, having more of that information is better for consumers. It allows them to make more informed choices. And that is a very consistent theme that goes through everything the Federal Trade Commission deals with. It goes through the whole line of cases where the Supreme Court has looked at regulation of commercial speech and found that advertising is entitled to First Amendment protection. Now, the key thing is it's not entitled to quite as much First Amendment protection as what you would call traditional speech. So traditional advocacy, think about political advocacy or any writing of ideas. And we'll look at exactly what the test is here, but just advertising is entitled to First Amendment protection. It just has, the state has slightly more latitude to regulate it. But before we looked at what that regulation is, it's important to look at what the definition is. So when we're talking about commercial speech, we're talking about a very narrow form of communication. We're really talking about, and this is from Bolger v. Young's Drugs, which was a case decided shortly after the Central Hudson case. The Supreme Court defined commercial speech as that which does no more than propose a commercial transaction. So think about that for a minute. That which does no more than propose a commercial transaction. We're talking about advertising here. So when you think about at the macro level the attorney advertising rules, and you think about social media, they're really just applying to advertising. And so if you're using social media wrong, if you're using it as a billboard, as a one-way advertisement, then yeah, you need to worry about the attorney advertising rules because you're just stupidly using Twitter as an advertisement. But if you're using it as a two-way communication platform, and if you're actively talking with people, if you're sharing your blog posts and you're commenting on other people's ideas, well, that's not a communication that does no more than propose a commercial transaction. That's standard communication. It doesn't fall under the commercial